Man United 2, Bournemouth 2. The only positive from that game is Bruno scored 2 goals and we've come out with a point. Honestly, we deserved to lose. The pitch was slippery, that didn't help, but Bournemouth were better than us in every single aspect of the pitch, and I find that completely embarrassing as a Man United fan. Not only have we only won 1 of our last 7 games, not only have some of those games been winnable, but we've been outplayed in every single one of our last 7 games, conceded multiple shots. Today we only conceded 20, but the last few games we conceded 30 shots. Nothing has changed structurally. Same players being picked, and it's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing because we're Bournemouth, a good manager, good players, not taking anything away from them. But we are basically making Bournemouth look like prime Barcelona. We make every team we play look good. I don't know if we're so bad on the ball and we're so bad off the ball, not just with the structural setup of Ten Hag, but physically, athletically. I don't know if we're so bad that we're making everyone else look good. I don't know if we're set up so bad that we make other teams look good. But it feels like every team we've played this season has looked really good and we've looked really bad. And the common denominator is Manchester United. It feels like we are awfully bad. Because yes, Kambwala slipped and the pitch was wet, and I'm not going to go on a Kambwala. You have good games, you have bad games. It wasn't his best game today, but I think he had good moments. But overall, we were awful. The space between the defence and midfield is shocking, and Ten Hag hasn't changed that. And you know me, I'm very positive about Ten Hag. I've been very Ten Hag, and I want him to be given time. I know that we need to get rid of certain players. I know that the structure needs to change. But Eric Ten Hag is going to sack himself. Ineos aren't going to keep him if he continues to be this stubborn with mistakes we've been talking about since August, September. We've been talking about this stuff since August, September. The press, the space in midfield, he's not changing that. And then the players that are having shocking performances, like Casemiro was the worst player on the pitch today, he stays on, but Maino comes off. Yeah, Maino didn't have his best game, but in possession, Maino offers that calmness and allows us to control the game. We can't control games out of possession. We are not good enough out of possession. So let's at least try and control games in possession. But we don't do that either. Whenever we get the ball, we're hoofing it long. We buy a goalkeeper that can allow us to build out from the back, a ball-playing goalkeeper because De Gea wasn't that, and we're still playing long. Our game plan was whack it long and hope Rashford gets on the end of it. No chances created for Højlund. While Højlund had a howler, no chances created for Højlund. You know, while players like Garnacho and Rashford didn't have their best game, I do think Rashford's work rate was good today and Rashford was really running around a lot. You know, but you can't blame the attack. They did have a great game in the front three, but you can't blame them because we're just hoofing up the ball to them and hoping they'll do something because we're not giving them good passes, or when Højlund does make a run, we're ignoring him. And this comes through the structure. In possession, the structure was shocking. The structure was absolutely shocking because we weren't trying to build out from the back. And yes, we're missing key profiles. We're hoofing it long every time. We're hoofing it long, and Bournemouth are getting the ball back, and then Bournemouth have a couple of passes and they have a shot. Bournemouth, if they were more clinical, could be 4-0 up, 4-1 up at half time, and we don't get any points from that. Luckily, we got a penalty, and I think we deserve a penalty because how many BS decisions have not been given us to this season. So we had a soft penalty, and it's 2-2. And Bruno stepped up today. Bruno did his job. Bruno Fernandes is the only player that did his job. Maguire had a good second half. Bruno Fernandes was the only player that did his job today, and he had bad moments in the game, but he did what he was called upon to do, and he did his job. Everyone else had a bad game. I'm not going to single out one player. I think Casemiro was the worst player on the pitch, but I'm not going to particularly single him out. I think everyone was poor. I think out of possession, the midfield was woeful. I think in possession, Maino was good and Bruno did his job. I think the space between the midfield and defence is horrific, and you can't blame Maguire and Kambwala for that. That is on Ten Hag. Ten Hag needs to fix that. Why is Kambwala being tasked to mark Solanke with that much space, and Solanke has that much space? Rather than Kambwala's mistake, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the structural issues. We are playing a style of football that demands the players to cover so much ground. And I think while, the players', work rate doesn't always look the best, the style of football we play is making their work rate look worse because we're demanding to cover so much ground, but we don't have the profiles to play that way. And even if we do have the profiles to play that way, I think Ten Hag's demanding too much of the players, and I will give the players sympathy for that. I think he's demanded too much because when you play with that much space, I do have a bit of sympathy for the players, and Casemiro can't do that. I don't think Casemiro's being lazy. Casemiro just can't do that. Mount can do that. We know he can, but Mount's the only profile in midfield we have that can cover large amounts of spaces, but we bring him on in the 80th minute. Why don't we bring him on at half time and take Casemiro off? Because Mount, Bruno, Maino was all right in pre-season and a good game versus Arsenal. I don't know. It's just annoying because we've been talking about this since August. The back four in the DM is overexposed. Like, Casemiro had a poor game, but again, he's overexposed. The back four in the DM is overexposed every single game because there's so much space between the midfield and defensive line, and that's what the players have been told to do, and it makes no sense. Why is Ten Hag not changing that? Why has he not changed that when it's not been working since September, August? He's not going to change it now because he's not changed it for the last 6-7 months. And that worries me because I liked Ten Hag and I wanted to succeed and I wanted to do well. I watched him at Ajax and he was brilliant at Ajax. I liked elements of last season. But if you're seeing what everyone else is seeing, that this is not working, why are you persisting with it? Why are you persisting with the same players, the same system when it's not working? And a lot of the times when we have won, we've not deserved to win, which shows that the style isn't sustainable. Yes, key players are injured, but Bournemouth have key players injured, and Bournemouth are better than us on the ball. They're better than us off the ball. They're better than us in defence. They were more organised. They're better than us in midfield. They're better than us in attack. Bournemouth are not a better squad than us, but they're playing better than us. Yes, Manchester United's players lack the physical levels to play the way Ten Hag wants to play. Yes, we lack physically. Yes, we lack athletically. And yes, we lack technically. The IQ, the decision on the boards is awful. But the structure is not helping. There's so many issues that I don't want to single out one player or single out Ten Hag. It's a mixture of Ten Hag's tactics. It's a mixture of not having the personnel. It's a mixture of errors and individual performances not being good enough. But I just have questions. You get rid of De Gea and you buy Onana so you can play out from the back, and you don't play out from the back. You just go long. If we're not controlling the game out of possession, at least try and control the game on the ball. Play some passes. Maino is very good at possession. No, long, give the ball away. I can't get my head around it. The amount of shots we concede, the overexposing, the system. I can't get my head around it. And I think, every time we got the ball, we're hoofing it long. And I just feel like, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to do? Because we've got one win in our last 7 games, and that is not acceptable. One win. We've had 6th place. Tottenham have been dropping points. Villa have been dropping points. In the international break, we could realistically, had we pulled ourselves together, could be challenging Villa and Tottenham right now. We're scraping into the top 4. Had we beat Bournemouth, that's 2 more points. Had we not bottled Chelsea, that's 3 more points. That's 5 points. And had we showed up to Brentford away like we should have beaten Brentford, that would be 2 more points. We'd be talking about Manchester United potentially being on 7-8 more points right now, only potentially being 2-3 points behind Tottenham and Villa with a game in hand. Well, not a game in hand, 2-3 points behind Tottenham and Villa. Had we come back from this international break and pulled ourselves together, but we haven't. We've been a disgrace since the international break, and I get the players are tired, and I get the players are exhausted. And I could see that Garnacho was exhausted. I would give him the benefit of the doubt. He had a bad game because he's played 30 games in a row. He's absolutely exhausted. But some of these players aren't good enough. A lot of these players need to be sold. Casemiro needs to go to Saudi Arabia. We might as well get rid of Eriksen because he's got no use this season. We need to sign 2 centre-backs. We need to sign 2 midfielders. We need to sign a winger. We need to sign a striker. We need to sign another fullback. But Ten Hag also needs to make adaptations because this isn't working. Bruno Fernandes is the reason we've got a point today because I'll be honest, Bournemouth deserved to win 4-5-1 today. We did not deserve anything out of the game. We were bad. I am not a negative fan. I'm always trying to be positive. But we were bad today. We were outplayed. Bournemouth outplayed us. Brentford outplayed us. We've got Sheffield United and Burnley to play again. They could outplay us. Coventry next week. They're in the Championship. It feels like everyone we play outplays us. And I'm Ten Hag in. I wanted to succeed. I wanted to do well because I know there's bigger issues at the club. But we should not be letting every team we play better football than us, outplay us, and be structurally more organised. You have to look at Ten Hag for that. He doesn't have the personnel. We have to look at players, but we have to look at Ten Hag as well. We have to hold everybody accountable, not do this thing where we scapegoat one person. Bruno saved us today. Most final third passes in 26. Most shots in 3, scored 2 goals. He did his job today. But it was one of those games where people would be saying Trashford. Everyone had a stinker. Rashford wasn't great. But Garnacho had a worse game. Højlund had a worse game. Everybody was bad today. Casemiro had a howler. Maino was good on the ball, poor off the ball, gave the ball away. Camboire made a mistake. Everybody was poor. Delo had a tough game. Wan-Bissaka had a tough game. Everybody was poor today. And it's the same old story. The players were poor. The structure wasn't good. Ahmad's cameo was okay. He didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't have much of the ball. That's what it was. For me, everything was poor today. On the manager, on the players, and 1 point out of 6 versus Bournemouth is unacceptable. Yes, we got a draw. Yes, we didn't lose. And people would say, Alex, you're acting like we lose. But we shouldn't be drawing to Bournemouth. Newcastle are now above us. The teams below us can catch us up, and we could finish 11th. There's only about 4 points between us and 11th, or 5 points or something like that. We've got an easy run of games, but we've still got Arsenal to play. We've still got Brighton to play. And if we can't beat Bournemouth and Brentford away, What else do you expect us to do? We are hopeless away from home. We are the worst team in the league away from home when it comes to style of play. A lot of the games we have won, we've been outplayed in, and it is worrying. I'm so bored of it. I'm so bored of it. It's the same underperformance. It's the same players not being good enough. It's the same structure that isn't working. And we're just persisting with it and hoping we can just get through to the end of the season. I really can't be asked. And I think, the last-ditch defending is causing us to make mistakes. Almost gave away a penalty there in the final minutes. And I feel sorry for Kambwala because I think the fact that the defence is under attack all game because of the lack of midfield structure, that forces us into making more mistakes. Because we keep going long, we can't sustain any possession and control the game. So we're giving the ball away easier. And when we give the ball away, we concede shots. There was so much wrong today. There was so much wrong with today. And luckily, Bruno Fernandes stepped up. Even though he didn't have a good game, luckily he stepped up. But I think Mason Mount's the one midfielder that is known for his out-of-possession work. And Mason Mount's the one profile of midfielder we have that can press and do what Ten Hag wants us to do off the ball, and he's not starting. I like Casemiro. He was brilliant last season. But Mason Mount, Maino and Bruno needs to be the midfield three next game. Amrabat is good on the ball, and Amrabat can allow us to control games, doesn't get a sniff. Eriksen's good on the ball, can allow us to control games, doesn't get a sniff, which is understandable because off the ball he's shocking. Off the ball, Mason Mount has the pressing and work rate to cover the ground Ten Hag wants the midfielders to cover. The midfielders haven't been good enough, but also what they're tasked to do does not suit their style of play. So why isn't he playing Mason Mount who he signed for 60 million? Can't get my head around it. I mean, I don't want to be reactionary, but I think with Ten Hag, it's not looking good. I want him to succeed. I want him to do well with a good structure, but it's not looking good. As someone that said I will not turn on the manager in his first 2 seasons and I will judge Ten Hag off his 3rd season, and the reason I'm Ten Hag in is because I said I'm not going to turn on the manager until the 3rd season. I want him to have 2 seasons because I know that we don't have the personnel. I know there's bigger problems at the club. But it's not looking good. If you're Rinius and you're seeing this and you're seeing that this is the same mistakes you've been making since this game and that game, you've not changed it, you're going to be worried. And I'm worried. But anyway, this rant's gone on for too long. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. Thank you for watching. I might be live tonight. Bye.